I'd just like to ask everybody for a moment of silence in light of the tragedy that we had, and also for one of our former members, Mrs. Molinaro's husband, passed away. And we'd just like to have a moment of silence for both of them, please. Thank you. Roll call.
Roll call. Rachel Gillespie is here. Kate Panetta. Here. Gladys Cooper. Here. Richard Janelli. Robson. Patrick Johnson.
Here.
Frederick Barat.
Here.
David Matrina.
Here.
Manuela Palmeras. Here. Ralph Benacresta.
Present.
Carly Santos.
Present.
Amy Scolino. Here.
Okay. Your recognition. We're going right to public participation. Also, just as a statement here, in light of the recent tragedy, with respect to the family, we ask that if you're going to make comments in regard to the incident, please do not use individual names. Okay, we don't have anybody on the list. Is there anybody who came that would like to speak that didn't put their name on the list? Anybody who would like to speak? Okay. Move on. Consent calendar. I don't know what we got for that.
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Education approves the items on the consent calendar, exhibits 19-24 through 19-25 as recommended.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Matrina. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion passes. Okay, employee representative, spotlight your school, Park Avenue Middle School. I'm sorry. And that's what happens when you don't bring your glasses. Everybody remember to bring your glasses.
Dr. Zluda, come on in.
Come right up, make sure your microphone's on so we can record all of you.
Are you using this?
Yes, Josie.
Yeah, just turn it on.
Otherwise, I'm still on camera. So my fault.
It's yours on?
Ours is on. What we have to say won't make any sense. There.
There we go.
Perfect. Thank you all. I'm Dr. Zlita, the principal at Rogers Park Middle School. Mrs. Taglia is one of our assistant principals, and Ms. Perez, taking pictures, is our other assistant principal. We like to celebrate what our students are doing, and we're here very proud to show what we've been doing so far this year. And we have members of our National Junior Honor Society to do the presentation. So without further ado, they will introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about themselves and go through our presentation.
My name is Caleb Patterson. I'm in NJHS Safe Club and Student Council.
Testing 1, 2.
Again, talk.
My name is Haley Curry. I am in NJHS Student Council, Safe Club, Yearbook Committee, Jazz Band, and Music Theater.
Get closer to the mic.
I'm Reagan Lawler. I'm in NJHS Student Council and Safe Club. My name is Caitlin Lee. I am in Safe Club, NJHS Musical Theater, and Jazz Band. I'm Tessa Treglia. I'm in NJHS Save Garden Club and Jazz Band.
on my wish list. I'm in NDHS jazz band, gifted and talented, safe. I don't know what else.
My name's Casey Rabels. I'm in NJHS, Safe Love, Student Council, and Musical Theater.
Earlier this year, we collaborated with the Danbury Police Department and the Fire Department to get to school a little bit early and say hello to the students as they walked into school. Also earlier in the year, we had a Break the Silence presentation where selected students shared bullying stories of other students to learn awareness to bullying. Later in the month, we are going to have Say Something Week, which is a week of activities to get all students included.
So for Halloween, we had students and teachers dress up. In order to dress up, you had to bring in $1, and we used that money to buy new playground equipment. Also, at one of our monthly assemblies, we had all the students and teachers go up on the stage to take a picture. So also in those assemblies, students are recognized for the great work that they do. As you can see there, there's a bunch of students of the month holding up their certificates that were rewarded for their exceeding work in special and core classes. We also have social studies stars, which are students acknowledged for the great work in social studies. Moby Max Top 10, the top 10 students that have done the most Moby Max minutes in 6th grade, and IXL certificates, which are awarded to the students that have done the most IXL minutes. Until now, we've done 3,347 hours as a school and 665,843 problems.
Okay, so we have a lot of extracurriculars offered at Rogers Park, as you can see, and also want to introduce themselves. So some of them include concert choir, jazz band, math club, student council, musical theater, the Girls STEM program, the door decorating, gifted and talented, tobacco free club, and safe club. And all these clubs help to promote kindness, and they build a lot of really good friendships in our school. So some of the school activities that we have in Rogers Park is Breakout Box, the Snowfall Contest, the Safe Walk, National Junior Honor Society, the Friday Coffee Cart, the Cycling Club, and Garden Club, and we just hope to get all of the students included and make school more full and more fun.
In Unified Sports, students and special needs students, they work together and they play sports like soccer, basketball, and running. And overall, they just have a really fun time together.
So as you can see, this is just several pictures of our students doing different activities. On the far right, you can see gifted and talented students using Connects to build a contraption. In the middle, you see one of our special needs students learning communication skills. And on the left, you see some of our 6th graders having a good time in class. So also in the classroom, there are a lot of interactive learning experiences. As you can see, we have project-based learning. In 6th grade, we just learned about Egypt. Also in 6th grade, we learned about chemistry and these breakout boxes. There are gallery walks in all of our classes, promoted mostly in English, and fishbowl discussions mostly in social studies.
So this year, the 7th graders are going to be hatching eggs, and we're going to have a fun chicken run in the hallways. We also had a marine plastic project, an UTSI historical investigation, and a textile mill in-school field trip for Liddy. So the 7th graders are reading a book about Liddy. It's a textile mill worker, and they had some textile mill workers come in and teach the students.
For our science classes, we're trying to make it more interactive for the students, so we've been doing different activities that will allow you to touch everything, and you can go different bottom you can see we went to a lake and we got to experience with all the fish. And then as you can see on the top left, we've been using balloons and all these different materials to try and get deeper into our experience. Okay, so this year we have a lot of different educational field trips. One that already happened was Ellis Island, and it was really fun. We got to learn a lot about the history, and it was really fun. And coming up, we also have To Kill a Mockingbird on Broadway, which a lot of people are looking forward to. And those ones were both for 8th grade. And also, 7th graders, in honor of the Long Walk to Water, they went to the Bronx Zoo, and 6th graders went to Long Island for science fiction. Okay, so we also have a variety of different performing arts groups at Rogers Park Middle School. Some include band, orchestra, and chorus, and some new ones that were added this year are pop choir and guitar and steel drums.
Also this year in the Media Center, we had a STEM Jenga tournament, which I won. We also had some students build a tetrahedral kite, and we had a Nutmeg Award book top. We also have a new genre-specific book organizer coming into the media soon. We also had some ebooks given to us, and we had a broadcast also.
So at Rogers Park, there are different things taught in the art classes. There is regular sketching, or regular drawing, graffiti art, and 3D paper mache sculptures. There's also weaving. For a garden club, earlier this year in the fall, we cleaned up the garden because from the summer it was in pretty bad shape because of all the rain and the weather this summer. And we also made apple cider because it's apple season. And soon, this spring, we're going to start up again and start replanting and harvesting a couple things. To prepare our students for college or whatever they have ahead, we've been doing lots of career and red lights and junior achievement and all these other programs have been coming to our school so that we can learn about what jobs we might want to pursue and so that everyone can find something that they'll love. So for our Donors Choose program, we raised $241,000 with our 801 supporters to buy new headphones, books, and Chromebooks for the classrooms. We had the Greater Danbury Garden Club visit RPMS, and they partnered up with a couple special needs students near Christmas time, and they made beautiful plants.
So this year, this is a new program, the Girls STEM program for female students that want to know and get the opportunity to explore topics that they're interested in science, technology, engineering, and math. Today was their first meeting. These are pictures of their meeting.
For Rogers Park, we've been trying to get the community involved, and one of the ways we're going to be doing this is by working with Praxair to partner up and paint the school again to make it nice and improved. We're going to be doing that on May 4th, and we have to find 100 volunteers, so we've been working with parents and students to try and find them. And then we're also partnering with Chick-fil-A so that we can provide more lunches for the kids. And this is our lovely staff, which help us all the time, and we love them so much.
Can I ask any staff members in the audience that are standing up?
I just want to make a quick comment. Rachel, speaking about stopping by anytime, Rachel and I, about a month ago, had a nice little visit. We spent quite a bit of time, and I just want to say, as we were walking through, we actually talked about afterwards, we got such a good vibe, just in the building and seeing, the work and stuff that the children are doing. And we just wanted to, that's a testament to you guys and your staff. And we just want to say thank you, and we appreciate what you guys do. So
I
thank you.
appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. Okay. Student reps today, so action items.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the superintendent's fiscal year 2019-2020 budget in the amount of $139,967,101, a 5.85% increase for submission to the mayor as required by state charter.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Matrina. Do we have any discussion?
Yes. I want to take this time to just acknowledge the effort that is going into communicating the budget to the public, and thank Joe for his presentation at the citywide PTO meeting. Also, our budget workshop last week. And just in regards to that presentation, a few things that I just have to mention. The state average per pupil expenditure, while it's good to compare, includes some astronomical numbers like Cornwall that is spending some $35,000 per student. So just be wary of that in the average. Also, a district reference group that holds a cluster of districts that are most similar. They're not exactly the same. Danbury does not have the grand list or property values of like Norwalk. We're not a Stanford. So again, I would just have to put that out there. I put a lot of thought into this and struggled over the almost 6% increase. But there's no doubt that resources are scarce, but they're scarce everywhere. I've heard horror stories from other towns and cities. I was at last week's State Board of Ed meeting where a parent from Ansonia testified that their Board of Ed was essentially bullying the city with threats of school closings, and after the city had failed to meet the minimum budget requirement. I read recently that the Bridgeport Board of Ed voted to cancel the remainder of their community forums as they were getting too political. And it's a shame the way the state has inequitably funded education for so long that has pitted towns against towns, but also governing bodies within the same towns. And for the record, our reputation precedes us. Danbury, we're known, in talking with other boards, we're known for how well we work amongst ourselves as a board, with the city, and how our delegation comes together in a bipartisan fashion for our city. So I'm sorry I'm going on and on, but
Good stuff.
I also struggle with the tax issue that was brought up at our budget workshop. And it seems likely that more will come down from the state level. Nevertheless, it is our #1 job to be advocates of high-quality, free public education for our kids, and our kids need and deserve more. I want nothing more than to hire another Mr. Dara, who is a superhero for our kids. And his 3 minutes when he spoke at last meeting doesn't begin to scratch the surface of the time and care he puts into our kids. therefore I approve the budget. I just have to say all that.
Thank you so much. Anybody else have anything that they would like to add?
I just wanted to, through the chair, reiterate the necessity that we have of communicating to City Hall some of the information that was shared with us today about the enrollment trend studies. I think that if our goal is to really get as close as possible to what we need to not just empower parents to show up at City Hall and advocate for their children, but we also need to look at property owners that don't have children in the system as possible partners and talk to them about the advantages of supporting our budget as far as the value of their properties. And following to that line that Rachel so eloquently talked about, instead of pitting each other against each other, right? Just really trying to help also the other side of this issue see that if we're asking for more money, it's just not for because we need it and we want this and that. It's really a necessity at this point. We have an amazing growth in our city, which causes a super-sized growth, quite frankly, in our school district. And we can't tout that as positive without having the responsibility to look at how we're going to support that growth in a sense of the future of our city when it comes to our students being the future leaders of the area, right? Some generations down, our next mayor, our next city council, next board of ed will come from these students. You know, we have many here sitting around this table like myself. You know, before the meeting started, I was looking at my 2001 yearbook from Cambridge High School when I graduated. So we need to also look in those terms and just really try to foster more communication with City Hall and residents who don't have children in the district, and that would be my conclusion.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right then, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Motion carries.
That the Board of Education approve the educational specifications for oil tanks in accordance with 19-27.
We have a second.
We have to do it for state funding. Oh, it's weird, but we have to.
Seconded by Mr. Santos.
There's a building committee for the oil tanks as well.
You know, this is your flair. I'm telling you, this is where you got us on the edge.
I didn't make the laws, I just have to try to abide by them.
Very nice. I like it. Is there any further discussion?
Well, thanks.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Superintendent's report.
Thank you. I'll start with the TDEC is the advisory to the board, and I'll have, Bruce, you want to update us on the TDEC? Next meeting?
Hello. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to ask if we can switch the order a little bit, speak to Nellie Mae convening first, and then turn it around to TDEC because the Nellie Mae workshop informed our last meeting with TDEC, which is the advisory to the board. So a couple of board meetings ago, my colleague and I to my right, we were not here, including Dr. Andy in the audience. We had Judy Coco, our project manager for the 98 grant, Melissa Nadeau, our STEM supervisor. We also had two community representatives, one of our parents, Miss Melba Hill, and then also Sandra Ferreira of Danbury Works. All of us went to Norwood, Massachusetts, not to be confused with Boston. Went to Norwood, Massachusetts for the convening, and the convening in many ways was about district sharing best practice around equity work. On our first evening, I believe Ann is in the audience, in our first evening we participated in an activity which is called the consultancy protocol, which is essentially a fishbowl-like activity where districts give you feedback on how the practice is going in your district. We were challenged with a couple of things. One of them was, has your district defined what equity means to you? And so we sat there and processed that question. And so certainly all of us had different interpretations and definitions of equity, but we had not defined that as a district. And then, secondly, how are you going to operationalize this idea of equity in the district? And so we were there for 3.5 days, engaged in serious discussions on how equity was going to live in our day-to-day work. And it occurred to us before we got in our cars coming back home, and quite frankly, in day 2 of our process, that it needed to live in our strategic planning process. And so we currently have a draft vision and mission as an outcome of our strategic planning day in December. That vision and mission statement currently also now has a draft equity statement and guiding principles to accompany the vision and mission. So these are both outcomes from that day. We're calling ourselves the equity team. We will also challenge with and charged with for this work to live in the schools is that every school should also have an equity team. And those equity teams, whether it's working with your school data team or independent of your school data team, those equity teams need to hold the school responsible for its values it's committed to. And so we came back charged in many ways, beginning to think about how this can look in our district and how this can live in practices throughout our schools. So we reported out to the TDEC committee, I believe that was last week, was that long ago? And in the TDEC committee, so part of our goal is to make sure this TDEC group, this advisory to the board, we wanted to make sure, because in our initial plan with our strategic group in December, we pushed a survey back out to that initial group and asked for feedback on our draft vision and mission statement, as we had committed to. The TDEC committee, we wanted to make sure that they also had an opportunity to provide feedback. So we shared the vision and mission with them. A lot of the TDEC members were on the strategic planning team, but not everyone. There were a number of questions about our draft vision and mission. There were terms like Danbury Public Schools, community, parents. And so some of the staff had wondered, hey, we don't see ourselves in this statement. In our initial draft of the vision statement, we had terms like world-class, and so there were questions and concerns about some of that language. And so part of our job, as outlined in the strategic planning timeline that I had shared a couple months ago, is that we will get out into our community, whether it's with students, whether it's with teachers, whether it's with parents, etc., continue to get feedback. And then before we bring this back to the TDEC committee again, before it's before you for consideration, we will make sure we've incorporated the feedback from the multiple stakeholders. And so what I'm sharing with you is part of what we shared with TDEC. TDEC also received their own survey, which is the same actual survey that we shared with the initial group. We received their feedback as well, and we'll continue to push that survey out to different stakeholder groups as we engage them. I'm sorry, that's all.
That's a lot.
And the work moves on. Hopefully we'll have something to report for their reviewing sometime.
So Dr. Sal, as of right now, the timeline calls for March. And we need as much time as we can to get out to the stakeholder group, so we would ask for the last board meeting in March. That would be ideal.
So that's our target.
Yes.
Along those lines, as we look through the equity, some of the thoughts and wonderings comes out of achievement, lack of achievement, and gaps. So the goal that we set as for the district, we've collected a lot of data that we've informed this group with, and we take that opportunity at the March 6th meeting, if it's okay with the board, to have a workshop instead of doing it at a board meeting. We don't have the time to do the questions and answers. And if that's okay, we'll do it at March 6th workshop, and we'll take that goal number 1, superintendent's goal, and go through the data that we have in terms of the growth model and what we're seeing to date. So if that's okay, I'll set the March 6th. Let me know that. There's a public forum on March 20th at 6 p.m. at Rogers Park. We'll talk about the budget that you approved tonight. Thank you very much. Incorporated that budget that you did look at tonight, you heard what the youngsters have talked about, how they've raised funds. All the districts, there are many student groups that are doing that. But I think, as Emmanuel pointed out and Rachel pointed out, we have an obligation to try to put together a budget that makes sense out of what the needs of our students are, and see if we can afford them that opportunity and have the experiences that we want them to have. The budget does get us there. I think this year, finally, we have a 3-year peak at the budget. So what we want to do over 3 years, we thought that night the way we would approach it was to try to do a general presentation and then break down into some small groups and then talk about the budget intimately rather than from a Q&A only, and see how that goes. So that'll be the first time we've done it that way.
How are we communicating this date? How are we sending that?
Actually, just completed a flyer. We're going to distribute around and share with the board too.
Some kind of Facebook event?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do the Facebook thing. I did talk to the PTO. In fact, it was their idea. It was like a meeting with Rachel.
Yeah.
To do it kind of in small groups, and they would help us promote the night. So that was good that they're enthusiastic about it. Because, as you know, the same folks go to the same meetings, say the same things, but it might be nice to educate more folks about it. We're not telling them what to say, not to say, but just talk about the budget. And Joe did a nice job that night, and we'll do a snippet of it at the beginning, and
It'd be nice
we'll communicate it out.
Nice if the newspaper would cover it.
Yeah.
In other languages too.
Yeah. Well, we'll work on that. We'll have our show, and Zach is out there somewhere, wasn't he?
He's out there.
There's his back. He's always good about promoting that for us. So we'll work on that. We're going to Rogers Park, so we have the room. Veterans Day update. Mr. Santos was there, and also you want to start updating it a little bit, the calendar?
Sure. So, Dr. Kastner is also going to take some of this as well. I just want to start with one. We met with 2 groups. We met with Citywide PTO, and then we also met with a subcommittee, if you will, to address this. This was community representation for the veterans community, as well as we had staff members in district who were veterans, who also gave us feedback on the idea of having a Veterans Day on as opposed to off. Let me also mention, and I forgot to mention, Kara kind of poked me in the shoulder. The Nellie Mae convening also spoke about meaningful engagement in community, meaningful community engagement. Certainly the Veterans Day provides an opportunity for meaningful engagement. And so, because I didn't share this with Kara, just wanted to also say part of our next steps with the calendar at Veterans Day is to see if we can get veterans, whether it's staff or community veterans, in front of Citywide PTO to have a meaningful dialogue around this idea. I think that's going to be helpful for us to inform any decision we might make as a board. Okay. Yes. Yes, please.
So we did have a meeting, and there were some concerns. We met with Tom Sadi, and he met with the VA Council, and we had some reps at that meeting. There were some mixed feelings overall with the idea of actually having Veterans Day. Rachel was also there on a school day in terms of the form of a hybrid. I believe 3 were for the idea, but mostly 5 were against the idea. And so it was just, a wondering of the group as to whether or not this was just a way to get a day on the calendar for weather-related purposes, and the feeling that the conversation sprang out of that need initially. And so there's still some more conversations that need to be had about it, but there were some strong feelings that was something that was not necessarily a direction that they wanted to head in. Citywide PTO was all for it. And so I think there still needs to be a little bit more dialogue as we move forward. So some of the next steps is Kevin mentioned is that we'll invite the VA to a citywide PTO and maybe get some cross stakeholder dialogue going to kind of really tease out. One of the things that came out of this, I think, regardless, was that the importance of the day and finding ways to recognize it in school and our curriculum, regardless of the outcome of this process. And so I'm committed to that, and the groups that I work with are committed to that as well. So one way or another, we'll be able to put some programming in that honors our veterans, regardless of the day.
I wasn't but so aside from their concern that we're just trying to pick up another day, is there what other concern do they have? Just so that is that the main concern, or is it?
Not necessarily. I think it was about sort of the sanctity of that day and what that means to folks, which are just very legitimate feeling. What they're probably traditionally are able to do. And on those days with their families and how they engage is differently than, maybe the way we interpreted how we could celebrate it with our children at school. So I think it's not just about the calendar day, it's about the way that they recognize the day and how they make meaning of it and sort of preserving that time.
And so, just want to be clear, there were strong feelings from the veterans in the community on both sides of this issue. And so, to Kara's point about against it, there were also some who felt very strongly for it and felt like there was opportunity to teach on that day. We also had some of our staff members who kind of reflective of the veterans in the community because they were conflicted. They felt like this is an important day, and as educators, they felt like they should be teaching about this subject. But at the same time, like they were on both sides of the fence, and that they were saying, but I can understand why some veterans may feel like we should have this day off. And then a couple of hours later, we had citywide PTO that same evening, and our families, parent representatives were all for it. It was great. And so that's why I wanted to mention we're going to continue the dialogue and see if we can get some representatives to that meeting.
That's great.
I want to mention, talking about Veterans Day, this is Black History Month, and there's a number of activities going on in the district, essay writing and performances and other things that are going on. I just wanted to mention that. And I added something to this. We had a tragedy this weekend. We're all reflecting on it in different ways. All I can say is to the board that you've been reading what's in the paper. Our job has been to support and comfort our youngsters and our faculty, communicate with family, do what we can to assist as we move through here. There are some other things going on with local authorities, and obviously we're cooperating. I will say it's been difficult, and I thank Kelly for her work and her team. I sit here and listen about thanking people. I hate to keep saying that, but I worry about the family, and they're in my prayers and my thoughts. And there may be a lot of questions out there that were said or not said. Our work has been with, and continue to be with, trying to support youngsters that's impacted them, and faculty members that's still impacting them. Hopefully we'll be able to move the district forward. On the side note, we'll be looking at all of our points in our program to see what we can do and not do, and how we can keep supporting and making sure we have the safest environment as possible, and to be timely in working with issues that may arise. So I did want to mention that for the board. I have nothing else.
Okay. Discussion, enrollment update.
Yeah, we did that presentation. Just for the board to understand, those numbers that we have are going to have to intersect with the space utilization study. What does that mean? Where are we going to put these kids when they come, when they're coming? Joe has worked with the company?
Fryer Associates.
Fryer, and they've been, in fact, we're getting phone calls from Toronto's, why are they here? Well, we're here because we're looking at everything and options that we may have. And at some point, with the facilities committee, we'll be sitting down and talking about some opportunities that we have to accommodate the growth. A few years back, this was used when we added those 18 classrooms, you may recall. Then we added some more classrooms over at Shelter Rock, and now the most recent ones that we've added over at West Side. So we're looking at bricks and mortar, and we're also looking at other opportunities for modules as well. So the presentation will be kind of mixed. And then there's some other thoughts going along with buildings and things that we've looked at, property and so forth, that we can update you on as well.
There's an update on the high school, sort of the same
Sure.
vein. Obviously, the high school flood, we've got now all the ceiling tiles have been replaced on those, all the impacted classrooms and hallways, those all put back together. We also have as well some furniture starting to come in, the additional place of computers are just on order, they're starting to come in. As the board saw, my email was sent out, we did get the approval for the asbestos abatement we covered as part of our claim, so that was huge. And so we'll be doing, in a sense, 2 floors of abatement in those locations. So we're moving in on that front, and all in all, it's starting to put itself back together, so that's good.
We had to move summer school, I don't know if we mentioned.
Yeah, summer school's got to move to Broadview because of the asbestos abatement. No under 18 can be present in the building, and we think the abatement could go on for at least 3 weeks or better, so I can't shuffle and hope that we're going to get out, have an early June or something like that to the abatement.
We're still monitoring the air and everything.
We've done air sampling, we've done testing of tiles as well, they've come back negative. We do know the floor tile is obviously asbestos tile. We're looking at doing some temporary carpeting on those, we're still working with the environmental company on that stuff. But yeah, all in all, we had temporary carpeting installed on the C3, kind of down towards the end. It is actually amazing how much quieter the carpeting is, so we're exploring at least maybe a not hard vinyl tile and looking at some alternatives there where they're more rubberized surface. I mean, passing now in that hall with decibels are significantly less. So, but carpeting won't work. The traffic is way too much, and it would just get way too dirty, way too fast. So we're going to look at some alternatives other than carpeting or tile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to follow up on a question that I sent out.
Yeah.
Did we figure out what the heat issue was?
I know the school store gets quite hot. The city's looking at that. I did talk to the city about that. I mean, without a specific area, I mean, that's the only known issue I know right now going on. I believe is a stuck valve. It's on order for that one. That just gets into the.
It was actually the reverse. There was no heat in the classroom, in the hallways, fire.
I talked to Dan. I mean, I don't see anything in a work order on that. I mean, if yeah, I don't. We did drill it out. Yeah, if you can. I mean, we did check. The only thing I know is, like I said, Carmelo's store does get a little hot.
So if somebody is bringing that up, they need to get a specific location.
Yeah, work order. If it's always a room, we could always drill that down and get into that a little deeper. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, but yeah, it looks great. The cap's all done. The kitchen got all new tiles, so it actually looks nice.
Thank you.
Please do.
When do we expect the space relocation study?
I'm taking Rebecca's work that's been presented to you. Glenn's looked at some options on additional pieces. I'm going to get with Glenn. I'm hoping by the end of March or so to come to facilities with that. I'll break him as well. Yeah, fairly fast.
Okay. That's it. Okay. Board Chairman's report, updated committee and PTO lists. Those are completed, right? And the superintendent. Go ahead, please.
So, just want to say that on the PTO meeting, staff and rough is the second Tuesday of the month, not the first, I think I have it here. And that's it. Just because I've missed it a couple times, and I get confused, like, oh no, it's the second. Second Tuesday of the month.
Okay. And the superintendent evaluation process. Absolutely.
I acquired this from CAVE. This is just an updated kind of guidelines for the superintendent evaluation process. I know our goal number 3 is to improve that process. So I just wanted to get something from them. This was approved by CAVE and CAPS in spring 2016. I think ours was adopted in 2008. I put the whole thing in there, but I really just I appreciated the introduction as well as the timeline and flow chart. I thought it streamlined things a little bit better than what we have, which is divided into 5. This is divided into 3 with, very specific bullet points and steps to follow. So I just would like the Superintendent Evaluation Committee to kind of consider this.
Thank you. We will look at this when we have our committee meeting, the Superintendent Evaluation Committee. And I think we sort of, I appreciate the form, but we usually do it the opposite or the other way. We have a form, we submit it to the committee, and then the committee look at it. Then we bring it to the full board and then we discuss it. So, out of that committee report, that we can decide on whether we want to stay with the form that we're using or this one. So hopefully we can set up a committee meeting very, very soon.
Sorry, Glad you want to set a meeting anytime?
I'm free any day next week after 4.
Well, let's talk then, because we're both on the committee. Who else is on there?
I am.
You are?
Are you available after 4?
Yeah, but I don't get back up there until about 5:30.
Yeah.
So if you want to do something before a meeting on Wednesday, I would definitely put it down for it. Or a separate Wednesday. Because I keep my Wednesdays open because they typically are Wednesday nights open because they're typically board meetings. So if we do something on that, it's fine.
Next Wednesday at 5:30?
Wednesday, February 20th?
2:20, at what time?
5:30. Is 5:30 okay?
Yes.
5:30 is good.
Yes.
Post it.
And since Mr. Gianelli is out and he's taking a leave of absence for a couple of months, I will have a discussion with him. I would like to move Kate in that position so we could have some voice, if that's okay with the board. And if it's okay with Mr. Gianelli, he's going to be out for at least 3 months.
Okay. And we have,
All right, so you're out already. That's it.
And I have to talk to you about one other thing before you leave today, share some observations. So. All right, so we got that in. And we're good on superintendent evaluation at that point? Good. 2:20 at 5:30. And board reports, communications, comments. Anybody have anything for the good of the order?
Yes, we have that ad hoc committee. It was scheduled and then canceled due to inclement weather. If we can kind of set that down for 90 days.
Okay. Any suggestions?
Have anything before the 27th? So a regular meeting?
I don't think we have anything scheduled before that at this point. If you want to try and begin then, does that work?
6 o'clock on the 27th.
2:27, 6 o'clock, and 1 hour's enough time?
Yeah, it should be good.
2:27, 6 o'clock.
That's where our ad hoc subcommittee will
Okay. I just talked about that. Yep. All right. That concludes what we have now. We have an executive session. If we can get a motion.
Motion to in public session and for executive session.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Mendez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much, everybody.